Mama turns all negative activity around. Mama, we the daughters of Earth, the sweet crone Trinity, have been inspired in the spirit of compassion for the well-being of our ancient cosmic family, to understand why you connected this trio to demonstrate the magic of your power, to awaken and protect our universal ancient family. Welcome to Talk with MamaYAH on Truth Uncompromised. And good evening. This is MamaYAH. Empower our ability with the authority of our common purpose. We are one in the best interests of our global family, in your essence as ancient of ancients. Mama, please allow this Trinity to naturally raise upright our fallen sisters, to elevate them to their true celestial level in mind and spirit. The sweet crone Trinity is here, MamaYAH, SiStars, Myrah, and Celah, Elana Bay. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, how are you?
Oh, fine. I'm fine.
I'm well also.
Okay, I'm going to open your mics a different way, so just bear with me for a moment. Okay, Celah, your mic is open.
Thank you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Myrah, your mic is open. So the way that we're going to work this evening is that Myrah is here for a short while tonight. And so we're going to ask you to speak on the image that you sent me. I'm just going to read it, and then you'll speak on it. Is that okay, Myrah?
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So the image says, today, many refer to God, the creator of the universe, as He and Father. But before it was Father God, it was Mother God. The ancient world knew it was the mother that kept them in her womb for 9 months, birthed them, and nurtured them during their earliest stages of life. They recognized her divine responsibility, and they believed the woman was identical to the universe. Therefore, they created female deities, worshipped her, and held her in high esteem. So, Myrah, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay. I used to be a student of Bobby Hammett when I lived in Atlanta. He gave me my debut. He's the one that turned me out when it came to the metaphysics. And one of the main books that he recommended to me was the Celestial Ship of the North by E. Valencia Stratton. And I love the book because everything you ever want to know about the metaphysics is in that book. He said that the woman who wrote the book was a Rosicrucian, and that after she wrote the book, they kicked her out because she gave up too much information. And the first chapter was about the supremacy of the mama, and the second chapter was about the supremacy of the black race. So I wanted to read a few passages out of this book. In the very first chapter, the first thing they talk about is that primordial mother of all, and who was called the Holy Spirit. It says, in the vision of Hermas, the Holy Spirit was called the Old Woman, who was the first of all creation. Again, the Holy Spirit was Virgo, the virgin of the zodiac, who bore the Immaculate Son. She was the great nurse of all existence. She was wisdom. She was the power of God, more beautiful than the sun, and when compared with the light, she is found before it. She was the mother of the gods. It talks about she was imaged as intensely black, her bosom bare, crowned with a golden pyramid, about which twined an immense serpent. Night and darkness belong as symbols to this very great antiquity. A superabundance of darkness metaphysically is light. Darkness adopted illumination in order to make itself visible. Out from the boundless abyss of darkness, acted upon by divine power, came the holy light, the sidereal light, the astral light, the reflection of the great Immaculate Mother, to whom the name of the astral light had been given, a name never given to the Father or the fatherless Son of the Immaculate Mother, who was placed on the physical plane as the lowest of the manifestations. And I'm always dealing with the equal opposites, the balance of opposites in order to create wholeness. So I always say it's a daughter earth and mama universe, you see. So when I talk about placed on the physical plane as the lowest of manifestation, that's just the opposite reflection of the mama versus the manifestation of the daughter, the physical or the earth component, versus the mama, the water component, which is mama universe, or where all souls come in through and are manifested through the daughter as the lowest on the physical level. In other words, the black woman has been put at the bottom of the totem pole in her value, in the physical reflection of the highest universal mama, the mama of all souls. It says the religion of the ancient people seems to have been one throughout the entire world, a great brotherhood, a universal faith. Strange has been the impulse of priests and theologians to deviate from the ancient holiness which was so solemn and majestic in primordial days, and to instruct the masses in false doctrine. Because in the very beginning, in the far-off beginning, everything was Sabian, i.e. belonging to the stars. It was only in the later, when the Sabian, then the lunar periods made way for the solar, the sun periods, that a male element appears and introduces the male and female as separate deities. For in the beginning, all was considered in the double aspect as male-female, biuna. So it was the mother, the mother and the son, this individualization of the father, whom the people then enthroned above the ancient mother, was acclaimed with great rejoicing. Finally, the child of both became a substitute for the mother and the father of a later period of theology. So everything began as mother and son. And then here it says that the original mother, Typhon, Lady of the Heavens, was mother of male child known as Sut, who grew up to be her consort and who eventually became his own father in the character of the generator. So all mystical allegories of the heavens state that from herself the mother came first, and at a later period when solar time told by the sun took the place of the early Sabian time, time told by the stars, the self-creator was made in the image of the male. So this came out of that book, The Celestial Ship of the North. And the first two chapters will indicate that supremacy, how the mama was replaced from mama and son to father and son. So the ancient of ancients, you see. So now we're at the time of culmination. We're at the time of fulfillment. So the ultimate balance of opposites now is about the degenerate cycle versus the regenerate cycle, which is actually technology versus what is natural or nature. Right now, as we come to the end of this external masculine reality, its ultimate battle is to eliminate the universal natural laws of nature. I say our biggest threat now is genetic Armageddon, which is where we are seeing a tremendous tide toward depopulation, which is the father's rulership versus reproduction, which is the mama's energy. So the depopulation, the abomination that make us desolate, which means to depopulate the land. I always say that the Muslims have a saying, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And I always say that is incorrect. It's really the true phase is that a nation can rise no higher than its mama. A fertile mama creates a fruitful nation, where an infertile mama creates the abomination that make us desolate, or to depopulate the land. So I think that's where we're really at right now. We're seeing the culmination in this degenerate cycle as it's getting ready to make way for a regeneration, which is the mama's domain, the soul domain. There is also some material which came straight from, came from the Kabbalah, and it's called the source, where the path of the one ends. And here they talk about the processing the secular regenerative Ouroboros, the autonomous nature of reality devouring itself in the act of continually recreating itself. This lies beyond the energy bonds of matter, at the interface of being and non-being, of time and anti-time, also known as the eater of excrement, the great and terrible mother, through whom womb all things are born, and which spews forth the manifested universe, then sucks it all back into her fires to be reformed, renewed, and resurrected from the torment of purgatory, the underworld. Here is the world which is destroyed by fire, as it is written in the Apocalypse, the book of Revelation, is the fire which purges gross matter. The dross is burned away, and the spirit is released, and the power to reincarnate and to move between the worlds at will. So this is the great and terrible mother who lays dormant and lets the masculine builds its land of order, and she wakes up and throw it all into chaos. So as she restructures and regenerates the cycle, the circle, the beginning and the end, the beginning and the end, and this is what the great mama represents: the circle, the wholeness, the holistic. I always like to use the cookie dough, where you spread the cookie dough out, which represents the universe, and then the sun, because energy unfolds from mama to son, and then from father to daughter. They are opposites. Mama to sun is like the black mama universe, who's exposed through the sun, S-U-N. Then the son resurrects into father's spirit, the righteous spirit who redeems the value of daughter earth, or daughter character. So the mama is like this cookie dough spread out and representing the universe, and then you take the cookie cutter, which is a round circle, which represents the sun. Anytime you see the sun on an astrological chart, it's a circle with a dot in the middle. So to me, that's like the cookie cutter that sets the perimeter of focus. Anytime you're dealing with the sun, you're dealing with focus. So setting the perimeter of focus as you cut that perimeter to understand the universal knowledge. But we can't understand the holistic omniscience of Mama Universe, so we have to use that cookie cutter to set perimeters, the air and fire. The air is the knowing, and the fire is our passions, our perspective. So setting the perimeter of knowledge to understand the omniscience of the full universe is how I like to use an analogy to describe, how we look at certain perimeters of knowledge or information, and then bring all that back together to represent the whole, or the holistic, which is Mama's domain. She's the circle where the masculine is the more linear, more dealing in the logic and reason, the air and fire, the logic and reason as to how to use your passions. But then you have to go the internal to the feminine, and that's where we step into the antiquity of the subconscious realm, which connects us to the soul realm, our ancient memory, ancestors, the ancestral. Mama is synonymous with ancestors. So we have an infinite reality as energy beings. And then, but each perimeter, which represents the sun, delineates how we think in that lifetime about the things that we're passionate about or where we're creative at. So being secure from within represents the earth and water, or the feminine. The security is the earth, or the value and the security of the information that you're able to access from within through what you feel, which is coming from your ancient memory, which is the mama component. And as you are secure about what you feel from within, coming from your ancient memory or the subconscious, this is how you send that vibration out, and it externalizes this masculine as the air and fire, which is actually spiritual empowerment. So this is the information that I wanted to present, when it comes to understanding the mama aspect of this thing. And one of the reasons I say mama is that the mama sun, mama's the water, the sun is the fire, and more water than fire puts out the fire or the power of the sun. So the mother, if you put an S in front of mother, you get smother. So that's an aberrant usage of the term mama, which takes you back to ma'at. The ma'at, or the mama, is the one who will release the sun, the negative polarity, which means our power comes in backing up, and that releases the sun into his resurrection so he can inflame into his full empowerment and then resurrect into righteous Father Spirit, the air element, who redeems the value or the character or the quality of daughter Earth. Daughter character. So that is how energy unfolds from its highest. And we are the individual aspects of this universal image of energy.
Okay. The more that
quite a bit there, huh?
I keep writing this down, because the more you say this, the more clarity I get. Now, one word that continues to come up is allegory, and I just looked that up, and that means story, poem, picture, to reveal a hidden meaning.
Yes.
So it's a parable, an analogy, a metaphor, a symbol, and an emblem. And me, I study semiotics, which is the science of signs and symbols.
Yes.
And so I have looked at the different symbols within religion and politics and government and, communication, as just those symbols. I don't take them as concrete rules and regulations. And I think that's where we have run into difficulty with cultures around the world because, my story is the only story. You can't have a story that's different than my story.
Absolutely.
But if you look at my story, and replace that O with the E, it's mystery.
Yes.
So, we as studied individuals can see the allegories, and then you have a more open mind about the way that other people interpret.
Yes. Absolutely. I always say your reality is no more wrong or right than mine. We each master in our own perspective, bring it to the table to contribute to the whole, the one and the all in one. So we all have to master from our own perspective and then contribute to the whole. The twinkling of the star, how we're only responsible for one twinkle of the star, but we have to be in position to make our contribution to the full twinkling in order to complete the star and bring it to its wholeness or into reality. So the individual twinkle is just as important as the overall twinkling, because without the individual twinkle, it's not complete, it's not whole, and it's not real. So we're the individual aspects to a larger purpose. You have to pool energy in order to create a spirit. You see, this is how they do their rituals now, like through the Super Bowls and through the Olympics, because anywhere they can get us to pool our energy, our focus of energy, that's the sun, that's Leo, the creative empowerment. So wherever we're convinced to focus our energy is what we're energizing. And it doesn't matter what you think about it, whether you hate it or whether you love it. It's just your focus is how you energize that, you see. So this is how they hit the mother lode with Obama, because either you're going to all the way hate him or you're going to all the way love him. They don't care which, just get that full attention, and that focus is how you're energizing the illusion. And now they're working that same type of ritual with Donald Trump, you see. Those that hate him or those that love him are focusing on and energizing. That is how they do the rituals, getting you to focus your energy. And anytime you pool your energy in a common focus is how you create a spirit.
Okay, now, everyone on the call, if you would just take a pencil or a pen and a piece of paper and put the circle, the mama circle, and then right underneath the circle, put the linear, a line across and a line up and down. And that is the symbol for the planet Venus, which is the planet of love. And that is the only law that there is in the universe, law. The Moors interpreted it as do no harm. And the man, Jesus, broke down the 10 commandments to 2 commandments, which is love the Lord thy God and love thy neighbor as thyself. But a lot of people have not gotten to the fact that about the Ma'at. And the Ma'at was a series of 144 laws.
Yes.
Okay, which were broken down into the 10 commandments, which were broken down into the 2 commandments. So you had the original laws of the Ma'at from Egypt, and then you had the Mosaic law of the Old Testament.
Hello? Is anyone there? I lost audio. Hello?
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you. Fine.
Okay. I'm back. Okay. I can hear you now.
Yes. So we had a progression. What I was saying, Myrah, was the progression from the Ma'at, which was 144 laws, to the Mosaic law, which was 10 laws, and that was 3,000 years ago, to Jesus, which was 2,000 years ago. Now we are in the age of Aquarius, and we still have a foundation based upon love. Now, one thing that I wanted to bring forward from what you said about the black woman being at the bottom of the totem pole, if you look at it in a mirror image, the black woman is the foundation of the human race.
Yes.
I do not see everything the way that people see things. I always magnify them. And so I see the black woman as the savior of the human race because she is the mother of the mama of the human race. And this is what I was saying on Dr. Henderson's call, that Father speaks and chastises in a different way than Mother. And when we got hurt, we always ran to Mama.
Yes.
And we are definitely living in a time of pain, excruciating pain, because the technology that we have should be solving problems, whereas a lot of it is causing problems.
Yes.
Whether it's because people don't have the technology, or people misuse the technology, or people don't believe the technology. The technology is there, and it's spoken of in the Ascended Master instructions. Now, I'm going to let that be what I had to say. What I'm going to do now is open up the Q&A so that anyone who wants to say something or question Myrah. And again, this is not an astrology consultation. This is about the mother principle, and I would please ask that anyone that puts their hand up refer to the mother principle, please. This is not a call for you to get astrological consultation from Sister Myrah. You could go on Facebook, you could become her friend, and you can do that individually. Please stick to the subject. Okay, so I've opened up the Q&A. Anyone that wants to speak, please raise your hand by hitting *6, and then we will go forward. We're going to do Q&A for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to bring in Celah Eliana Bay, who has more information on the ancient mother. So I'm waiting for people to call to raise their hand. In the meantime, Myrah, you said a few words that I hadn't heard you say before,
okay.
and they are Sabian, lunar, and bilunar.
Yes. And that's the part I read from that book, The Celestial Ship of the North, which was a book recommended to me by Bobby Hammett. And the book does have everything. I love the book. It's an easy read, and it has every answer for every question that you may have. That's the very first chapter of this book talks about the supremacy of the mama and how everything began, in that sense. Like you said, as Biuna, all in the beginning, the pre-order mother of all, and was called the Holy Spirit, and everything was, she was the one who was then, they pushed her out and then made everything the Father and Son, and they turned her into, it says, the branding of the Sut Typhon as the fatherless ones, religiously speaking, came through worship of the Mother and Son, and who became the harlot of Revelation and the bastard of the Assyrians. This is how her image was, and that's why I read the part where it says, it said here, the original Mother and Son was it was the oldest, the religion of the ancient people seemed to have been one throughout the entire world, a great brotherhood and universal faith, and strange has been the impulse of priests and theologians to deviate from the ancient holiness, which was so solemn and majestic, to instruct the masses in false doctrine. And this is where they removed the connotation of the Mother and Son and enforced the Father and Son. So everything did begin feminine. And as we know, even in the physical reality, everything begins feminine. And then this is when we start getting into the Y and the X chromosomes. But and then as we look at daughter Earth is feminine. It's the earth element. Earth and water are feminine, which is internal and hidden, and the air and fire are masculine, which is external, are visible. We're talking about the conscious mind, masculine, versus the subconscious mind, which is feminine. And that's why right now we're getting all kind of debates. It's like you said, you got to agree with what I say. That's the masculine, the air element, how they debate knowledge. And once you've gotten to the master, the Father has brought all the information to the table, you see, and now it's time to serve it up through the mama, but until they serve it up to the mama, it's like beating a dead horse. Everybody's debating knowledge and information. Once you've mastered on one half, that is when you have to reverse the energy rotation and go to the opposite half so you can balance out the two halves to bring wholeness into the picture. So the Father, or the masculine half, is where we're debating information, bringing the information to the table, analyzing it, and then defining the information. And once you have mastered on the knowing half, then is when you have to step into the hidden or the unknown half, the feminine half, which will then balance out Mama's soul, the mama of antiquity, with Father's spirit, the father of destiny. The mama represents our ancestry, while Father represents our destiny, or where we're headed. So it's about balancing the two equally, mama's soul with Father's spirit, in order to become whole or holistic. And that is what God means, you see.
Okay, and from our talks before, I went online and I found the PDF file for The Celestial Ship of the North, written by E. Valencia Straighton, Straiton, and it's 213 pages. So everyone can access that file and read from what Sister Myrah is talking about. Now, Myrah, if you don't mind, I'm going to bring Celah in. Let's see if I unmute her. Yes. So, Celah Eliana Bay, would you like to begin your dissertation?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. Peace, love, freedom, truth, and justice. Also in the vision of, in the celestial ship of the north, in the first chapter, in the vision of Hermas, they tell us that the Holy Spirit was called the Old Woman.
Yes.
And the Old Woman was the first of all creation.
Yes.
So I wanted to speak on the Old Woman, the ancient crone mother, and honor the aging woman's value to society. My first have a question is some people may wonder who is crone. We use the term crone to reference and to reclaim the name of the wise woman of ancient times. The concept of crone existed tens of thousands of years ago when women's life patterns were conceptualized in three stages. You had the maiden, the mother, and the crone. The maiden was a youthful, independent woman. The mother was a woman who guided others as a biological mother or as a teacher. The crone was the postmenopausal woman who enjoyed a special, revered status. The elder woman was viewed as a fount of wisdom, law, healing skills, and moral leadership. Her presence and leadership were treasured at every significant tribal ceremony and each personal occasion from birth to death. In that light, we three sister crones consistently focus on the empowerment and well-being of older women and claim the honored status of the ancient crone for a contemporary woman. We use the crone to assist us in transition from one life to the next, leaving one level of our existence and entering the next. This brings us into the womb of the woman to assist us in being reborn once again. For it is through her wisdom and guidance we learn lessons from experience of the past, and we begin life anew from the wisdom gained. The crone is a symbol of inherent wisdom that comes from experience. She has lived through love, sorrow, hope, and fear, coming out of it all a wise and confident spirit. Through these experiences, she has learned the secrets of life and death and the mysteries beyond this world. The crone is the grandmother, the old one, the earth mother, the wise one. We turn to her when we need advice. She teaches us that sometimes we must let go in order to move on. The word crone, in its most simplistic sense, designates an old woman, a woman past her childbearing years, a postmenopausal woman. Today, the most common definition of a crone is a wise old woman. Thus, a crone is a woman who has moved past midlife and who acknowledges her survivorship, embraces her age, learns from the examined experience of her life, and most likely appreciates the wrinkles on her face. A crone is a woman concerned with housing, Social Security, pensions, health care, her relationship with children, grandchildren, and siblings. A crone is a retired woman, a soon-to-be retired woman, a widow, an empty nester, who desires good health, energetic living, and independence. A crone is a woman who is adapting constructively, often gracefully, to the process of aging. A crone is a woman who is comfortable with her spiritual self, her intuition, and her creative power. She may be a woman of any color, race, religion, sexual orientation, economic status, educational level, lifestyle, or political persuasion. She may be disabled or abled, introvert or extrovert, single, married, widowed, or partnered. She is like you and me. What does set the crone apart, however, is her willingness to tell the truth about her life. Crone women fly directly into the face of ageism and sexism. They refuse to be put down. They do not walk meekly on the road to old age. They are keen to assert their presence, if not their influence. They are a radical aliveness which fuels the fierceness of women's strength in old age. Crone is a framework for honoring the wisdom of elder women. Crone is a template for communication, community, and communion. Crone is a basis for cooperation and compassion for all living beings. Thus, a crone is an older woman who has learned to walk in her own truth, in her own way, having gained her strength by acknowledging the power and wisdom of the totality of her experience. She's a wise woman. She's a woman who moves past youth and midlife into old age. She consciously takes on the mantle of crone, a woman who celebrates her survivorship. The mystical and the mythological ancient crone mother comes to us from the myths of ancient times. The goddess was revered, and she was all-encompassing. She controlled birth, death, and rebirth. As patriarchy began to arise after circa 7000 BCE, this concept began to change as women themselves became increasingly under the dominion of men. The one mother goddess image was split into three aspects, reflecting the stages of women's lives. As I said, the maiden, the mother, and crone. The crone goddess represented the older woman's aspect of woman's life. The connection between today's woman and the ancient goddess, according to Jung's philosophy, is that women are influenced by powerful inner forces or archetypes which can be personified by goddesses. These attributes live on today in the collective unconscious as an archetype. An archetype is a pattern of instinctual behavior that is contained in the collective unconscious and a part of the unconscious mind that is not individual but universal, with contents and modes of behavior that are more or less the same in all cultures and in all individuals. The crone goddess represents the archetype of the older woman. When patriarchy became the dominant mode, when the divine was imaged solely as male, and as women became second-class citizens, the ideas about goddesses and the archetypes they represented went underground. Archetypes can be submerged, but they never disappear. And as women today are reclaiming their power, these archetypes are re-emerging. There's a burgeoning interest in this ancient part of women's her story, not his story. And the crone's archetype is resurfacing as a model for elder women. Women are coming into their own as individuals, stronger and more comfortable with who they are and in speaking for themselves. Women are joining collectively as well in what some are calling a new crone movement. Crone, hag, and witch once were positive words for old women. Crone comes from the crown, indicating wisdom emanating from the head. Hag comes from hagio, meaning holy, and witch comes from wit, meaning wise. Crones, hags, and witches frequently were leaders, midwives, and healers in their community. The meaning of these three words, however, were distorted and eventually reversed during the 300 years of the Inquisition, when the male-dominated church wanted to eliminate women holding positions of power. Women identified as witches, who were often older women, such as crones and hags, were tortured and burned, and the words witch, crone, and hag took on the negative connotations that continue in our language today. The crone movement, however, is reclaiming the positive meaning of these words. The crone began emerging into our consciousness in the early 1980s, and today many older women are embracing this connection. We are tapping into the ancient crone's attributes of wisdom, compassion, transformation, healing, laughter, and bodiness. We will not be invisible, ignored, or treated unfairly. We are coming together in circles and gathering to support each other. The crone goddess or dark mother is the last aspect of the triple goddess. Together with the mother and the maiden, she represents part of the circle of life. In today's society, where we worship youth and beauty, this aspect of the goddess is the most frightening and misunderstood of the three, as she represents our destruction, decay, and death. Traditional societies, however, view death as part of a cycle. Here, as in nature, the death of winter is spring. In her book, The Crone, Woman of Age, Wisdom, and Power, Barbara G. Walker discusses just how disturbing the image of the old woman, and thus the crone, has been to patriarchal religious worldviews. She points out that in many ways the crone was the female equivalent to the image of God. As a wise-looking old man with his white beard up in heaven. While Christianity could include a version of the Virgin and even a mother, both found in Mary, there was no place to include a crone that was not threatening. So over time, her image became perverted, but it could not be destroyed. She became the wicked old witch, an archetype that is so deeply ingrained in the imaginations of us all, beginning in childhood, that it is difficult to undo. Old women in our society are the least valued members of the population. We see the aging process as something to be avoided at all costs, or at least hidden. And in particular, our prejudice against age is focused on women. Unfortunately, Walker believes that this is a continuation of the suppression of the crone and reflects deep fear of the wisdom and power of women, as well as the fear of something that cannot be controlled nor avoided, which is death. The crones have many names, and there are some that are well-known crone goddesses, such as Hecate, who was a very ancient pre-Greek goddess of the dark moon. You have Ceridwen, who is a Welsh crone, best known for her cauldron of regeneration, transformation, and inspiration. She rules over death, but over rebirth as well. You have Demetra, the dark goddess of many names, and she was the prophetess and holder of mysteries. She bestowed dreams, visions, and magical knowledge. You have Kali, the Indian goddess of death, destruction, and transformation. You have Morrigan, an ancient Irish trinity of war and death goddess, strongly associated with magic and battlefield. You have Cailleach, the winter hag of Scotland. In her mythology, she is often portrayed as deceptively strong and outliving many husbands. We have Lilith, a Hebrew goddess, who was Adam's first wife and guardian of women's mysteries. The most natural time for a woman to seek the crone is at menopause, and as she approaches her own cronehood. However, the crone has great relevance and significance to women and even men of all ages. For instance, when there is a need to end something, when some project or cycle has come to completion, when there is a feeling of being threatened, outcast, or maligned, when there's a need to put the past behind you and start anew, when facing death, your own or that of a loved one, during the menstrual period, when facing or you're faced with the inner hag, or when there is a need for deep wisdom and advice. She can help you remember the cycles of life if you're experiencing a loss. I urge you to invoke these goddesses to help you face your deepest fears, as despite their often fierce ways and appearance, they offer great wisdom to those who are prepared to look upon their faces. The crones encourage us to be wild and free. They show us the strength and courage within us all. I proclaim these words to the ancient mother. They have largely forgotten you and follow gods, but in the stillness of the moonlit night, you are there, the one who is she. Ancient mother, I hear you calling. Ancient mother, I hear your song. It dawned on me that part of the spiritual task of accepting ourselves as we are is to accept ourselves at the age we are. Wishing we were younger or older is not only ridiculous, since there's nothing we can do to change our age. It's also a total waste of time. The past is gone, the future hasn't happened, and the only true reality is the present moment. Living fully in each moment is, as all the sages from every wisdom tradition agree, is the only key to happiness and contentment. Now, as the baby boomers start turning 60, I notice a lot of a eek, freak, and squeak going on. A lot of denial, too. If you plug the phrase anti-aging into Google, you get an unbelievable 2,670,000 entries. Cosmetic surgery, Botox, thousands of dollars are spent every day by women trying to look younger than they are, while half the world's children are starving. And something's wrong with this picture. But I must try not to judge my sisters harshly. I must not forget how I felt the day I saw myself in the mirror and realized that my hair was two colors, black with a lot of gray. Since we live in a culture that is fixated on youth, all of us to some degree have absorbed the erroneous message that young is beautiful and old is ugly, even though deep down we know that the only true beauty comes from within. I believe instead of pandering to it, we owe it to ourselves and to our daughters and granddaughters to change this stupid, outdated conditioning. We owe it to ourselves to strip away the shallow standards of beauty that the fashion industry, the cosmetic industry, and most of all the advertising industry all feed on. We're being exploited, and it's time we stood up and said a huge no. Nobody warned me that menopause is a passage into another form of life. Maybe it is as well they didn't. After all, how do you go on feeling smart, sexy, capable, confident, and all around good about yourself if you know you're gradually turning into an elderly woman, a hag, a witch, a crone? It bothered me, and I panicked. My premenstrual syndrome was no longer pre-anything. It was most of the month with a few good days scattered here and there like islands in a large ocean. My normally sharp thought processes were going blunt, so alarmingly fast, it felt like a wad of thick cotton. I thought I was getting Alzheimer's. Worst of all, my libido was going through the floor. No one had warned me about any of that. My mother had sailed through menopause, or so she said, with no symptoms at all, except that her period stopped one day when she was 55 and never came back. That was it. End of story. Not even one hot flash. All my friends were the same age as me or younger, so there was no one to reassure me. In the mid-1980s, and the medical model ruled, HRT was rapidly becoming the flavor of the month, but I was an alternative, health nut sort of person, and I instinctively recoiled from the idea of messing with my hormones. I decided to tough it out. The more I thought about it, the more I started wondering if I could do more than simply tough it out. On the outside, I was trying to keep my normal life together, while this other stuff was happening on the inside. Hot flashes happened wherever I was. So on the outside, I just made jokes about it like everyone else, took off my jacket, took it on and off, fanned my face, and drank lots of cold water. But on the inside, I was saying to myself, steady, girl, you're doing fine. That way, each hot flash, rather than being a pesky nuisance, was a transformational process, bringing me one step closer to my new self. Would that new self ever emerge? My period stopped. After I had not had one for a while, I started to regret that I hadn't marked their ending with some sort of ritual. But how can you mark the last of something if you don't know it is the last? When I realized that I would never see my own menstrual blood again, that thought made me sad. Yes, I too had often referred to it as the curse, but it was a great part of my womanliness. Now it was over, so I had to grieve. During that long time in the menopause, I discovered that there are many things which needed to be consciously mourned and let go. My ability to bear children, my youthful looks, my sexiness, and so on. There was a lot of work to do. And as I let go of these old definitions of myself, I had no idea what would take their place. It was as though I had to clear the space first, so sometimes it was scary. I was 55 years old. A whole new energy seemed to be stirring within me. I went back to school to get a degree in architecture and interior design. I was entering a completely new phase of my life. The most radical thing we can do, and the most beneficial, is to dare to be ourselves as we are, old, gray, and proud of it. I earned every one of these gray hairs I see in the mirror and the tiny wrinkles forming near my eyes. I love it. It actually suits me better than black ever did, and the whiter my hair gets, the better I look in my favorite black dress. And I like wearing glasses when I read or use my computer. They really suit me, and they disguise the fact that I really have no eyebrows worth speaking of. They make me look intellectual. At 72, I'm not as fit and trim as I used to be, but I'm happy and full of vitality. I love being old. I'm having the time of my life. So are lots of the other natural women I know in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even beyond. We are being ourselves, and we are beautiful, each in our own way, just the way we are, wrinkles, white hair, glasses, and all. I love being a crone. Please call me an old hag, as crone means crowned one, and hag comes from the Greek hagia, or sacred. Knowing this, who wouldn't want to claim being a crone? When I fill out forms, I don't mark single, though I'm widowed, married, though I've been twice, divorced, though I've been once, nor head of household, though I am. It's me and myself. I make and mark another box, and I put free crone. Even with fixed income, ill health sometimes, my life is an adventure, for the flower still awaits not necessarily to be picked, but to be savored for its fragrance. So what if our youth-worshiping society has written us off? We're told we are decrepit and powerless, but actually we're just invisible. And because we're invisible, we can do anything and no one will notice. Not only can we wear purple, we can wear neon green, hot pink, orange stripes with polka dots, or nothing at all. We don't have to dye our hair or set it in short, tight curls. We can wear it short, we can wear it long, loose, and uncut, locks, braids, in a bowl cut, or we can shave it off completely. We can be outrageous, flaunt ourselves, and demand attention. We can be moths and take young lovers. We can go places alone, do what we've always wanted to do, and be what we've always wanted to be, and do it now. But often we don't, for it's hard to believe the opposite of what we've been spoon-fed for years. The older woman or women are pitiful, useless, no good hags. It helps to be surrounded by others who have chucked off such narrow notions. Crone circles are the answer. We need crone circles to strengthen ourselves and to reclaim our rightful role in society. Crones were once midwives of both birth and death and leaders of puberty, marriage, and other ceremonies honoring life. We are the anchors, the watchers, the guardians, the healers, the storytellers. We are also Babo of the body-wise sexuality. We are roots, trees, mountains. We are the web of the world. So what if youth has written us off and we're told we're powerless, but actually we're invisible, and because we're invisible, we can do anything and no one will notice? In crone circles, we can validate ourselves, our existence, our lives, our feelings, our truths. We can share our wisdom and experience. But how can we find each other? We're not likely to find companions in bars, churches, bridge clubs, senior citizen centers, or inside the covers of modern maturity. I found my particular crone circle with my crone sisters, Joan and Myrah. We began with different purposes. Some women are scared by menopause. Some seek role models. Some professional counselors and caregivers seek support and renewal. Others simply just seek fun with other confessed crones. But all of us should seek the wise women who can teach us from their experiences. We 3 crones have been meeting weekly via conference calls. We share leadership, each bringing insights from our talents and gifts. After a lifetime of being ordered around by parents, husbands, children, and bosses, it's so relaxing to have no set leader. We are at a time in our lives when we are all leaders. Usually whoever hosts the gathering convenes the circle and may set a topic. Joan has been the one initiating the calls and setting topics for us also. The talking circle is the essence of crone support. Its structure is both simple and empowering. Whoever holds the talking stick mentally has the floor. When finished, she passes to the next until all have had a turn. No one interrupts. Everyone listens with respect. Thus, the sharing goes deep. It is a concept which is all about that rapture of being alive in an aging woman's body. The crone, the great-grandmother of us all, we salute her wisdom and experience, her calm and her grace, her steadfastness and her love. She has much to give and teach us. Our intent, the crone trinity, is to gather with young and older women to share their histories and counsel with each other. Our notion is that we learn most and probably best as older women by sharing the wisdom born out of our life experiences in an environment which promotes equality, encourages diversity, and supports personal empowerment. Our thought is that our personal and collective wisdom helps us grow and learn through discussing our similarities as well as our differences. So, Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your sound. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. And I'm going to close by wishing all of the mothers on the call a happy Mother's Day. And for those of you who are not yet mothers or have decided not to be, I wish you peace and love, and I yield.
Everything that you said, Celah, is what I want to say. Everything that you wrote, and I do hope that you're going to send that to me for the blog on Divine Connection Church. I'm smiling, because I am a great-grandmother, far too young. But nevertheless, and I've been waiting for my hair to turn gray since I was in my 50s, and it just won't do it. Around the edges it'll turn gray because you want to show that you have wisdom, and the gray hair is a definite sign. But then you meet a 30-year-old who has, a shock of gray, and you're like,
right.
Well, what did she do? Okay, so we're going to open up the Q&A for everyone. Yes, so if anyone wants to chime in, please hit *6, and you'll be in the queue. We're going to go a little bit later today so that you have an opportunity to voice your opinion about the crone. So we have one. I'm going to open Celah's mic. Okay, so now we have 904. Good evening, 904.
Greetings, Joan. This is Sis Linda, Celah, Myrah. You guys are doing a great job on your call. I want to say that. And it's the information you guys shared is beautiful, both the beginning and the end. But I would like to say that I really believe that Sis Celah was reading a book until she start talking about her cronies, Joan and Myrah. And I was just reflecting on times in my life where I've traveled across country, and when you stop at the little gas stations or something and you're feeling blue or tired on the road or whatever, and that would really be something that I think would encourage someone who's weary on the road and on the way to a family reunion or their grandchildren's graduation or something, because it really was beautiful. And I just wanted to say that to you guys and keep up the good work, and I yield.
Well, thank you, Linda, for calling and being on the call. I love it when people, call in and say that they're enjoying this call. I also think that it's very important that we each embrace the older women in our lives, and that the older women reach back and embrace the younger women, because that's where the circle is. That's where the circle lives, in the exchange between the older, the elders and the younger people. I think that in a cosmopolitan society, we tend to lose that connection, and it's so important. I had a conversation with my son yesterday, and his 18-year-old daughter came in, and she says, when I have children, I think I'm going to have to remember how you felt when I did certain things, and it really tickled me because my son has called me up and said, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for the things I did, because he's experiencing it himself. So, Linda, thank you for calling in and always being here, and especially for introducing us to this opportunity through Truth Uncompromised Media Network and Rhonda. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. You guys are a wonderful addition to the network. And again, I just want to say one more thing, that as she started reading at the beginning about cronies and hags and witches, I'm like, I want to be one. I want a crown. I want to be sacred. I got wit.
Okay, now there is a difference between a crony and a crone. A crony has been defined as a friend, but a crone is the wise woman. So it's different. And the other thing is, Linda, please don't take it the wrong way, because I know everybody does it, but we are not guys.
And this is the second time you've had to tell me, and you won't have to do it again. It was like the first time we met, you had to tell me that. And I'm going to tell everybody in San Diego that we can't say that anymore. It's like, and
you're going to have to go around the whole world because people do it all over the world now. You know, but it's a term that I feel really degenders the feminine. It lumps all of us into this one gender, this unigender, and I relish my femininity and my, you know, I really feel my divahood, my womanhood, and I just don't feel like a guy. That's the way that I can explain it.
Thank you. Neither do I. And one other thing that Sis Celah, as she was speaking about the maiden and the crone, I remember since I was a young girl, they have this picture like a pencil art, and it says, "What do you see? Do you see a young woman, or do you see the older woman in this?" And I always saw both, and I always thought it was so beautiful the way that whoever the artist was could blend it, you know, like the beginning and the end all at once, and beautiful. And I'm going to yield, place myself on mute, and give someone else a chance. I yield.
Well, thank you. So is anyone else out there in MamaYAH land? Raise your hand, hit *6. We want to hear from you. And we're going to be here for a few more minutes. So, anyone have anything to add to this conversation? So, Cheryl, Celah, you are going to email me that the piece that you read. Is that correct?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, I will email this to you.
Excellent. And I'll be putting it. And I do post these shows on the blog also. It's also on YouTube. So I think maybe a week later you can find it on YouTube. Rhonda is very conscientious about her network, and I really appreciate being there. So if no one else has anything else to say, we're going to give you. Yeah, I'm going to say nightfall. Yeah, and I really appreciate my sister Bromes coming in tonight. Hopefully, at the first Wednesday of every month, we can make this happen. And in the meantime, I do want to say thank you to Denise Wilson-Eel, who was my guest last week. And if anyone would like to be my guest, please hit me on Facebook, inbox me. If you have something that you would like to share on this call, you are more than welcome to hit me up. Okay, and here is Denise.
Hey,
good evening.
Good evening.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. That was the most beautiful reading, and it's perfect. And I think that what is in process, hopefully, is for the female energy. I think for the female energy to totally surface. We're coming together, but to totally surface and, like we're saying, take our place. What I think the male energy has to do is to help bring this forward, not over a long period of time, but like almost now, so that we can be there, so they can protect this time-honored position. I think that they want, I don't mean they, meaning all these men, because the men don't want it changed necessarily. But I think when we understand that for our way of life to return, the male are men, and men who understand that things are so out of whack because the female is not in place. It's against the law for us not to be in this time-honored position. And when they understand that, they will help it and they will want it to happen quickly. And I think that's a part of what all this, what all is going on. Because I know, like when I talk about I know you don't like to talk about like the prophet, but what he has on the cover of that book is the woman in his arms. He's bringing her back. She has to be put in place. I mean, there's no other way that we will ultimately rise. That can be helpful. It's not that they want to be superior or anything like that. But in order to get our men out of these prisons and our young people from off the street, not just us, but everybody, but we have that responsibility, I feel, as women to be put back in place. And it's just like, how do you do it? We can individually do something, and we're all trying to do something, but it's got to be a collective, agreeable effort. They're not somebody against us. I have 2 sons and 2 daughters, and I don't love the sons or the daughters over one another. I love them all the same. They just have different roles to play. We all do. And our role is to be the maiden and the mother and the crone, the female role. That's not their role, and they should be supportive of us being there so they can be what they need to be, because they're not being what they need to be either. And I think that because we hold this key of who we are and what our purpose is, I think that they will be willing to help correct this whole situation, this whole upside down and lopsided. I yield.
Okay, and I do want to make a correction. It's not that I don't want to talk about the prophet or about Yah. It's not that at all. And I wanted to make that point this evening, that it's not about the mother principle taking over. It's about the equilibrium between the two polarities. We live in a 3-dimensional world that is dual, and it's just that the mother principle has been squashed, for 57 millennia. 57 millennia, and then it was written that women were secondary. And that's why I keep referring people to Sadhguru, Sadhguru, who states specifically that there is no way that men can really not honor where they came from, and that is the womb of a woman. We do have another caller. I'm going to take this caller, 951. Thank you, Denise. 951. Are you there?
Hello.
Yes. Speak up a little bit. I can't hear you. Yes.
Is that better?
A little bit louder.
Happy Mother's Day, and thank you.
Thank you.
A pretty wonderful Mother's Day for everyone on the call. With all of your words, your wisdom, and the knowledge that you share with us, we greatly appreciate it.
And what is your name?
Terry.
Terry?
Yes.
Thank you, Terry. Where are you calling from?
California.
Okay. Excellent. So we have California in the house, and Florida, and Georgia. We're just spanning the country. That's beautiful. Well, thank you for calling. And you have a lovely Mother's Day, too.
Thank you. One heart, one mind, one spirit. Love, truth,
all right.
my justice. And I yield.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Time is running out. You know, I will hang up. So I'm going to echo Terry, Celah, and Myrah, and Denise, and Linda, and all the lovely ladies on the line. Happy Mother's Day. And by the way, my father will be 97 years old on Saturday. So this is an expansive weekend for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm so honored to still have my father living, and so I'm going to be celebrating this weekend, definitely. Okay, well, we don't have any other callers, so I'm going to rest. I'm going to play the song at the end and wish this for all of you. And next week, we'll have another surprise. Okay. So love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. And we're going to go out with this song, Love Translation.
Peace and love.
Peace.